Hello, I'm Jim Carmody, owner of Computer Troubleshooters Collegeville. Today I'm going to briefly introduce you to the Health and Human Services downloadable security risk assessment tool. Most medical practices are required to do an annual security risk assessment under the HIPAA security rule. Now keep in mind the whole purpose of doing this is to make sure patients' private information is not lost or stolen by identifying potential weaknesses in a practice's information handling. Mostly the government had in mind electronic patient information, but obviously you still have to account for stuff on good old paper. And also obviously, once you identify these weaknesses, you should plan to address them. You can still get dinged even if you officially identified some stuff but didn't fix it. Now, as far as the annual security risk assessment, the law and regulations do not give a black and white way of doing the assessment because of the variety of different types and sizes of medical practices out there. But this tool downloaded from healthit.gov can give you some guidance. I'll be sure to put an exact link to this tool in our next e-newsletter and on our website. Now I'm going to switch to as I was saying, switch to a handy shot of the snazzy tool that I downloaded and opened. Now this tool admittedly might be overkill for some small medical practices, especially the size my company supports, which is about 5 to 25 users. Now I've done a risk assessment before in a simple table format that identified IT weaknesses that could affect patient information, and it did hold up to a later audit. But for my benefit and my client's benefit, and keeping in mind the ultimate goal in making sure patient data does not get lost or stolen, I decided to go through the 156 questions of this tool. Now, to make my life a little easier, I did make a list of technology safeguards I have in place or plan to put in place so I can plug them into the answers of this tool. Unfortunately, there is no way to cut and paste into the tool, but I do have at least a basic set of standard answers. Also, technology does cover a lot of these answers, but not all of it. Some questions are just plainly about administrative security and physical security, so ultimately I have to meet with my client if we want to answer those questions. So right now I'm at about question 66. Let me point out some things. All right, you got I set up one user myself, so you have to do a simple login. Now, unfortunately, the thing about this tool, I haven't yet figured out how to make the window, viewable on the whole screen, so you got to keep scrolling up and down, which is kind of annoying. But you're here, there's some explanations that are important that I've read through before, and I'm going to hit Start Assessment. Now, I'm not starting from scratch. It does pick up where I left off. Now, usually I go right to, I gotta scroll down again, go down to this navigator, which kind of gives you a tree expandable, collapsible tree view of the 156 questions, so you can jump around to different questions. It's got broken down in categories, and those categories are, the administrative, physical, the technical categories. Now, if you kind of don't understand a question or need further explanation, you can go down here to related info, and there's tabs, things to consider, threats and vulnerabilities, examples of safeguards, and those kind of help you maybe get your mind going on how to answer the question. And then finally, the ultimate goal after you've answered most of the questions is to generate a report, your basic security assessment. And so you hit report, generates this thing with columns, which is sort of viewable, sort of readable, but you want to choose whether export to PDF or Excel. I like Excel because I like the columns and you can search and sort. So you hit export Excel. Now I have a copy of what I've, Excel format that I've generated before, which is here. As you can see, all the nice little columns, citations even. And mainly you're going to focus, or I'm going to focus on this column called remediation, what I've answered as a remediation to these questions. And those are really my action items or what I need to address to make sure, patient information is kept safe. So that is a basic glance over. So as I was saying, that's a basic glance over of the downloadable free tool. There's like a 10-minute tutorial of this tool on the healthit.gov site explaining this a bit more formally and some things in slightly more detail than I have. Again, remember the ultimate goal here is to make sure patients' private information does not get into the wrong hands. Some practices need to make sure they keep up with, practices basically need to make sure they keep up with technology and its latest security features. And of course, if you need help in doing so, feel free to contact me, Jim Carmody, owner of Computer Troubleshooters Collegeville. Phone number 610-409-9800. Phone number 610-409-9800. Thanks for your time.